Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Charles Classic Corner. Today we are joined by two special guests, two of my favourite Chelsea fans, Beth and Jem. Welcome, guys.
How we
Hi.
doing, people? You're
How you
good?
both doing?
Yeah, not bad. Tired and fed up with this COVID crap. But yeah, all good.
Yeah,
Fed up
it's a
with
struggle.
football, pretty much everything.
I think it just becomes a struggle when you've got like lockdown and then your team's struggling and it's everywhere.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
defo.
So
Football is
today
such a big
we
mind. Sorry.
yeah, today we are going to be talking about two huge players, Drogba and Ronaldinho. Two,
Nice.
two, two players that have had some controversy in their time.
Mm,
One maybe more than the other. One a lot more than the other. But I mean, they've won the titles and they've done the goal tally. So can you
yeah.
complain with a little bit of controversy? But I mean, let's start with you, Jem. Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
I mean, the man, his first season, he got 33 goals. Like, it was 18, he got 33 goals. Like, that just shows what career you've got to come, isn't it? Like, you
Yeah,
can't really.
all I can say is I was blessed to be around when Ronaldinho was around. Like, you know, when you were actually happy to have been born in a generation to have seen such
Yeah,
great players, and like obviously Messi's there, Ronaldo's there, Ronaldinho for me. I mean, just at La Liga alone, 145 games, 70 goals, 50
yeah,
assists. You know, that's big numbers, and a lot of Ronaldinho's. When we think of Ronaldinho, we think about his skills and what it was about. You know, all the little showboating flicks and this, that, and the other. But the man won trophies, like you said. You know, he's won World Cups. He's won obviously Spanish Cups. He's won the Ballon d'Or as well. Which
yeah,
won. He's won two best FIFA men's players as well. Like, the guy is just like, as good as he was. Like, he was backed. He's also backed by an abundance of trophies and goals, and he was just a pleasure to watch. He's just such a pleasure to watch. And I always remember seeing him. I used to watch him quite a bit when he was at Barcelona. It was him, Eto'o, and Messi had just come up as well. So this is when Messi was quite young, and like, for me, I always think back of the Chelsea clashes because we had quite a lot of them when Ronaldinho was around, and I always remember the goal at Stamford Bridge. I know we beat him, but the one where he sort of done that little Timmy tack and then boom, like just toe pokes it, and Peter Cech just. And bear in mind, Peter Cech at the time was probably the best goalie in the world at that point as well. Like, it was that good. He just made him look stupid as hell with the finish. And there's been so many games that I remember of him, even at, Clásicos against Real Madrid, where he's just world class, and putting John Terry on the floor twice when John Terry was like again in his peak, and
yeah,
banging two goals past us. Like, the guy is. He's going to be well and truly missed, and people try and throw Neymar in his kind of bracket. Don't be stupid. Like, he might be able to do some skills, but not to the level that Ronaldinho can do it and pull it off as well. So top player, I'd say.
No, I agree. I mean, he was absolutely crucial for the Barcelona winning the first Champions League they won. Like, it wasn't it like in like must have been about 14 years that they hadn't won it, and he was crucial to that. So, I mean, and that was his first season at like Barcelona, second season,
I think it was
and
his
he'd
second
done that
season. Yeah.
second season. Which do you think what was his best season? Was it Barcelona, AC Milan, like Paris Saint-Germain? Which was his best season overall that you enjoyed him most at?
I mean, he played more in the La Liga overall. He played 145 games. In Serie A, I think he played 80, 85 or 70. I can't remember, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but for me, he was good at AC Milan. He even went with AC Milan and actually won things. But what he did at Barcelona just excelled him and peaked him to the top level. And I know he had top quality players around him, but at Barcelona, it might have been because he had Eto'o next to him, and he had Messi on the right, and Busquets, and some other really top quality players. Iniesta, I think, was around as well, if I'm right.
Yeah.
There was some really top players, and for me, La Liga, definitely at La Liga, definitely when he was at Barcelona, he was at his peak for me.
Yeah, I agree. Beth, coming on to you now. This is literally my most exciting thing when you told me you wanted Drogba. Drogba, man, where do I begin? Like Jem also wanted to do Drogba. Jem, I'm going to bring you into this as well. Like, we all just love Drogba. Like,
Absolutely do.
He's the fourth highest goal scorer of all time. Like 7 seasons for us, and the man came back as well. Like, he came back.
Yeah. And the thing about him is he was just like the man for the big game, the man for a final. Obviously, he played 9 cup finals with us and scored 9 goals in all of them, and almost all of those goals were like deciding goals. Like, he would always turn up. And you just think about him, and the thing about like how he'd score goals and stuff, he just struck the ball with so much power. And as Chelsea fans, we're not blessed with having amazing strikers. It was amazing to get to have him for so long. And it was special with him as well, because he developed his football career like relatively late compared to other people. He started like 21 when he started professionally. And I just think what he achieved was amazing with us. And he's my dad's favourite player as well and everything. Like, my dad was around Hasselbank and Zola, but Didier Drogba, he's the man.
I think Drogba took it to a different level. Like, when we signed Drogba, I know there was excitement, but we weren't sure how he was going to react in the Premier League. But I think the first season, he turned up and he showed everybody what he was about. He genuinely turned up and he was like, I'm not here to play. I'm here to get goals. Like, his first goal was in the 3rd game of Chelsea. Like, first season, 3rd game. Like, that's when you know you've got a good one. Like,
Chelsea, yeah.
I mean, you can't turn it back. Like, Jem, I'm sure you love him too.
Yeah, I've got loads to say about Drogba, man. Are you ready? But honestly, his first season at Chelsea was his worst. He actually struggled. And we've got the problems with Timo Werner and Havertz at the moment, where they're actually struggling to adapt. He had the same issue back then, and there was a lot of Chelsea fans calling for him to go. He came from Marseille with a £32 million price tag, but by the way, was performing very well out there, scoring. I think he was top goal scorer for them, scoring left, right, and centre.
Yeah, and was. He came from about 40 goals for that season.
Oh, thanks, stupid. Yeah, but he looked like we actually just wasted money the first season, and then we stuck with him. We got into the second season with him, and then he just come alive. Like, when I think of Drogba, I think about clutch games, like the games that turn where you need your best players on the pitch, cup finals, Champions League finals, FA Cup finals. If you need any striker up front in a final, he's the guy that I would have on my team list straight away. Like, he is the man. Like, in the biggest occasions, biggest games, he's the guy that wins you trophies. Like, do you know what I mean? He's that good, and his overall game's great. He's one of the only players that I can remember that can play up front on his own and bully all of them. Doesn't matter how many of you got on him, he will hold you off. He'll bring people in. He was strong in the air. He used to score great goals. It weren't even just his headering. It was the ability to score goals from anywhere. I remember the goal against Carragher when he chested it down and then he twisted on against Liverpool, bang, bottom corner. I think of the Everton goal when we were 2-2 and he controls it, and I think Shevchenko flicks it onto him and he controls it, and then he hits it first time from about 30 yards out, goes straight over Tim Howard's head, goal, win 3-2. Like, he's done it so many times. Then you think back to the Bayern Munich game. We looked dead and buried in that game because we were getting battered for like 80 minutes. And then Thomas Müller gets that goal, and I'm thinking, my depression mode kicks in again. Champions League final at Bayern Munich's back door. And then I always remember that because Torres had the ball and he wins the corner, and I'm thinking, all right, well done, Torres, just come on the pitch. And Mata gets the ball, and I remember the camera going into the middle, and you can see him all like Lampard that's all like trying to make a bit of space with him. But when you can just see in his face like concentration, like there was no one in the world that was going to stop Didier Drogba getting on the end of that ball, providing it was going in the box. And boy, did he do that. It came in the box. He pushed, I think he got in front of Lampard as well, jumped over him, bang, top corner. Like, the guy is just a legend. He did kind of muck us a bit with the John Terry thing when John Terry slipped at Moscow and we lost to Man United, because he would have took the 5th penalty, but he blimmin' made up for it at the end, and it's a great legacy to finish on. Do you know what I mean? Great player.
Big up Laurie, big up the panel. Got the sound off as I'm in class, just passing through to show some love. Thank you, Laurie. Latimus Prime is also with us. He says, "You're doing, Charlotte." I mean, I think there's a spelling mistake there. But thanks, Prime. And Salmon says hi. Hi, Salmon.
Hi, bro. Hi.
But I think Drogba, he came in at some class times and he saved us. Like some of his goals were. He came when we needed a goal. When in the Champions League final, we needed an equalizer, and he gave it to us. We needed a penalty, he gave it to us. Like he didn't mess about.
He was he was always there when you needed him. Even when we lost to Napoli 3-1, and it should have been 4-1. If you remember, Ashley Cole cleared it off the line. It actually saved us that game. And we went back to Stamford Bridge, and the first person to score was Didier Drogba. Remember that Ramirez cross and Drogba like that little like that to the top corner. Like, he's been immense, and Beth. Let's be serious. What are your thoughts on him?
He's just incredible, honestly. Like for the club as well, he has like so many of our like records. He's still got, he's got the most goals assists combination with Lampard still until Kane and Son take that over probably later this year, unfortunately. And he's like, I don't know, he's just incredible. I think he's still the highest goal scorer at the new Wembley, I believe, with 8 goals. It's just like incredible that he was always turning up.
Every time he used to play against Arsenal, it was like 15 games, 15 goals or something stupid. Didier Drogba, like they just had enough of looking at him, didn't they? Arsenal, let's be serious.
I think literally every time Drogba, they were like, no. I think sometimes they wish that they didn't have to play him. Like
he had such a confidence and such a presence that he just kind of always knew he was going to score. I actually remember in 2012, there was like a news article after we beat Barcelona at home in the semi-final. And it was actually Cesc Fabregas. It was in Spanish, but it had been translated over. And Cesc Fabregas had said something like, it's always the same when you play Chelsea. You attack, and then Drogba scores and you lose. And it was just like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Drogba always hit the back of the net. He hit with such power and confidence. It just always went in. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He had such great free kick style, didn't he?
Yeah, we found out Prime. Prime is supposed to saying you're doing well, Charlotte. Thank you, Prime. And then he says, my grammar is messed up tonight.
Maybe change the hoodie colour. That might help.
We got Daniel with us. My favourite goal of Drogba was his turn and volley versus Liverpool. Now that was a beautiful goal. And then Prime says his favourite, he scored at Camp Nou, 1-0. And Taha says shout out to Beth.
Oh, hi.
Prime said that's another reason I don't respect Arsenal. How can one man bully and own your stadium? This is a fair point, to be fair. Like Prime makes a fair point. He really did own their stadium. He owned them. And you know what? It was only one man that did it. Everyone else, they were like, yeah, we could kind of deal with. But Drogba, no, they look like they could run and hide.
It doesn't matter if it was a Community Shield or the FA Cup final, or even if it was just a normal Premier League game. Like he would score against them. I remember Senderos getting absolutely terrorised by him, like constantly. Like the guy I think the guy left after. He's like, not playing for Arsenal no more. Keep losing to this guy. Like he'd had enough.
But I do have to ask now. He did have a little bit of a dip in the season, the 07-08 season. That was when Mourinho left, and then he made the statement that he wanted to leave Chelsea. And then he had a lot of controversy. He had the Vidic elbow where Vidic had to have stitches in his mouth, and Ferguson said it was deliberate, and there was a lot of controversy around that. And then the Champions League semi-final, he was accused of diving. I mean, and that was obviously the horrible time of John Terry. Like, he missed that penalty. But I mean, I don't particularly... He did get accused, like, it was a bad season for him. It wasn't his best season. I mean, how do you guys feel?
It's a tough one because, like, I feel like where he'd been at Chelsea for so long, you kind of expect him to have that one-off. Like, he had 2 off seasons. Let's be serious. When he first came to Chelsea, he wasn't good, and then obviously the 07-08 season. So I think it's normal, really. You can't expect him to be banging in 30 odd goals or 28 odd goals a season constantly. Like, and you got to bear in mind, we had so many different managers around that point as well. So it was about players adjusting to different styles all the time, playing different ways. So it must have not been easy being a footballer at Chelsea and constantly fighting at the top level with different managers, though. Do you know what I mean? So I can understand why he would sort of dip in certain seasons more than others, but it just is what it is, I think.
No, I agree. I just think that the way that the controversy kind of, well, not controversy, but the way that, well, it was a bit of controversy, the way it happened, I don't particularly think he didn't plan it. It wasn't like he wasn't having the worst season that season. That's the problem. When this controversy kind of happened, he wasn't having the worst season. Like, it wasn't his worst season, and unfortunately, this controversy kind of put a downer on him. Like, and that was a shame because, like, he was doing so well, and then, like, you get managers coming out saying this was on purpose and, like, judging someone by that. And I think that's got to affect a player playing, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's just like a thing with football, isn't it? And at the end of the day, that's always going to be stuff like that. People are always going to say that this one's a cheat. And I think that's actually a lot of people that don't support Chelsea do still have this sort of thing in their head a little bit, that Drogba was a bit of a cheat. But people do that, though, to win games for their team. That he showed, like, heart and desire, and I guess sometimes that just came out in the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel says, was it 17 goals in 17 games versus Arsenal, or was it 18 in 18?
I thought it was 15 or 16. If it's that much, it was saying silly, but it matched the match. Whatever his matches was the goals anyway. I know that it was exactly the same. Like,
Salmon says, I'm an Arsenal fan.
I feel sorry for you, bro.
I'm sorry.
Rest in peace. Lanzi says, good evening. Football United, Jem, did Ronaldinho ever get close to joining Chelsea?
No. The answer to that. There was talks about him coming to Chelsea. But it never really progressed. I mean, buying Ronaldinho back then is like trying to buy Lionel Messi in his prime now. Like back when he was in his prime, it just wasn't going to ever happen. We had the money, but no,
it wasn't going to happen.
Nah.
I feel like with Ronaldinho as well, there's, along with like the player you get and the quality of the player you get from him, you also get the controversy and the fact that he liked to go out in the nights. Like, he wasn't particularly a time person. Like, there's all these concepts you have to do, whereas at Chelsea, like, you turn up or you don't. Like, and I think that also was a factor in it.
Well, we was close to signing Neymar. That's one true thing. We was this close. True. It wouldn't have been like that much. It was this close. And this is when he had just left Santos, is it, in Brazil?
Yeah. No, I remember this.
And we nearly got him, and for whatever reasons, we didn't do it. And it was maybe for the best because we got Eden Hazard instead. So,
do you know what? I'm not complaining at that. Like, I'm quite happy with that. I mean, I look at him now, like, he's at PSG and he's struggling now. Like, he's had those injuries and he's not the same.
I wouldn't take that 5 years with Hazard for anything, to be fair.
Will say hello, people. Big up, Will. Daniel says Roberto Carlos was close to joining Chelsea. And Winter Surfer, big up Winter Surfer. Ronaldinho was never close to joining Chelsea. Man United were linked, but he chose Barca. Yeah, I think Man United put in like a 10 million less than what Barca offered.
Yeah.
So it's just a money game. Robinho, few dodged
Man
one
City
there.
had that one. Man City had that one, mate.
That, like...
But you know what? You say that, right? Robinho at Man City always used to score against us. I don't know why. She's not one of them players that always, when you play against, doesn't do anything, but then he comes against you and he scores. I remember him scoring a free kick against us. I was just like, oh my God.
That happens at Chelsea, though, isn't it? That's a Chelsea thing, that.
Yeah. That's true.
Guys, just to let you know, make sure you like, subscribe to Football United TV, guys. Let's get the subscribes up. So, Jim, let's talk a bit more about Ronaldinho now.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me the first time that you realised that, like, he caught your attention.
I think the first time Ronaldinho caught my attention wasn't actually like a big game. It wasn't like a Clasico or like a Champions League game. I always remember him playing against Real Betis. Because I was at the time I was interested to see this talk, because there was a lot of talk about Messi at the time and him coming up, and this is when Messi he was good, but he was touted to be the next big thing. So I was always tuned in to watch him and Eto'o as well, because Eto'o was just prolific. And now I'm looking at this guy, and I heard a lot about Ronaldinho, and I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking to myself, wow, how skillful is this guy? But it wasn't just his skills, it was his whole balance. He had balance. You couldn't knock him off the ball for nothing. If he wanted to go around you, he'll go around you. Even if he wanted to go around you and take the piss out of you, he would go around you and take the piss out of you. And you can't do nothing about it. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, wow, because back then there was a lot of games that used to be out called like FIFA Street and that. Do you know what I mean? So you used to always he always used to think them kind of players ain't about. But then back in sort of around that sort of generation at that time, Ronaldinho in Brazil, there was a lot of players like that. You got to think of Robinho. Robinho was another one that was very skillful technically back then as well. So for me, it was definitely that Real Betis game. I remember him. I think he assisted 2 goals. One of them he set up Eto'o, and then he scored this outrageous free kick. He was so good at free kicks as well. And I was like, wow, this guy's serious. Do you know what I mean? And then since that, I just sort of loved watching him. He was just a great player to watch, honestly.
Yeah, but Ronaldinho was a different kind of player, because he could play midfield, but he could also play a winger. Like, you could chuck him on the wing if you wanted. Like, he was a multitasking player, and that's what worked well for him.
Yeah, definitely. He was always going to be a top player. And then you look at him for Brazil as well. I know we talk about Barcelona a lot, but even when he was at Brazil, and I always remember him lobbing Seaman. Do you remember when he from the free kick? I think it was 2000 and I can't remember, it was 2 or something like that. I was saying, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he lobbed Seaman in goal. He's world class, man. He was so good to watch, and it's a shame because there's not going to be any type of player. I don't think there is going to be a player like him again, in terms of the way he played the game. In my eyes, Neymar. Everyone goes, yeah, Neymar, but Neymar is just a diver, man. He'll do a trick.
But with Neymar, you have the injury as well, and the injury, how long's that kept him out for, or how many times has that injury reoccurred? That's the problem. He's name, and also Neymar's so dramatic. He really is. You can't even put them in the same league, let alone the same sentence, in my opinion, because Ronaldinho is an actual legend.
Oh yeah.
Neymar's just a diver, and he just makes things dramatic and gets red cards. Cool story. At least Ronaldinho was a proper player.
When I think of Ronaldinho, when I think of top Brazilian historic players, Ronaldinho's always in there. And then you think of R9 Ronaldo, another great striker. Kaká for certain parts of his in. And then you go to the older players like Cafu, Roberto Carlos. The list goes on with Brazil. Pelé back in the day. Do you know what I mean? They've always had natural talented players.
Yeah, Brazilians ballers.
Literally, they are. They have such good players. I mean, they really do.
Even David Luiz is skillful. He's a defender.
Yeah. Will says it's a shame that Hazard and Neymar are both injury prone now. I mean, I agree. It really is. Hazard, since he moved, I do as to it. I think it was the worst move he could have made. Personally, I think if he'd have stayed on for a couple more years at Chelsea, I think he could. I know he wanted to go back, but look at his career now compared to if he'd have stayed on a couple. Can you imagine? Just put this in: Ziyech, Hazard, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Werner. My head can't take this.
Hazard on the left, Ziyech on the right. It gives me feelings.
Do you know what the mad thing is? You know what the mad thing is about that is that Hazard's career at Chelsea, he's always ever wished to play with a team with that much attacking ability, because he's always been the guy that's always been relied upon. He wanted to have that sexy style-esque football where he could link up with people, make runs. And now we've got the players to do that, and he's not here. He must be sitting there thinking to himself at Real Madrid with his Big Mac in his hand, thinking, fucking hell, man, that could have been me.
And the thing as well with him is he went from being like the player in our squad, the big player, the one, to being a player that plays for Real Madrid with all the other players that play for Real Madrid, you know, and that must have been hard as well. Like despite the injuries and that, I feel for him and I wish he never left. But maybe that's just self.
Maybe it's a good thing he left if he was going to go down that route. Maybe we've got money at the right time.
I sometimes wonder if he would have gone down that route if he hadn't have left. Like, would he still be where he is today if he was still here now? Like, you just don't know, unfortunately. Winter Surfer says we got Hazard Prime. Yeah, we did. Salmon says like, share, and subscribe, people. Yes, please like and subscribe. Will says, yeah, we sold him at the right time. I mean, you can say we sold him at the. We're never going to know that, unfortunately. Like, there's the part of football that you're never going to know. What if? Winter Surfer, he says, for me, it was the 2002 World Cup. RRR up front, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and R9 Ronaldo with that ridiculous haircut.
Yeah, it was deadly. It was very deadly.
Look at that.
Anonymous Prime, at Prime, I hear you and Charlotte have a good choice for a new Chelsea manager. That we will discuss this later on. Let's have a see. Winter Surfer, he had a dream, now it's a nightmare. I mean, Eden Hazard is really living a nightmare right now. He really honestly is. Like, I don't particularly think many people... Like, when was the last time he played, like, without injury?
He played recently, didn't they? They lost...
Yeah, he just came back, I think. But then I think.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute shocker.
The thing is, they spent all that money on him to be like the next like big thing, because obviously Ronaldo moved on, and it was like, we need a new Galactico. We'll bring Hazard here. He's going to be that, and he's just absolutely flopped him.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if he'd have stayed, we would be in this situation, because with Hazard, he'd still be making those runs. He'd still be creating those opportunities, and I wonder if that's what we need now. Someone with that Hazard mentality that just goes for it every time. Because Hazard always used to give like 1,000% on every game. I don't know.
Played for us a lot. Like, we don't have a lot of players that have been at Chelsea a long time left. We've got academy players, we've got Azpilicueta, but not a lot of players that have played a lot of seasons for our club, which I think is like what we're sort of missing out on at the moment, is people that kind of get the club.
Yeah. The other thing as well is that he was the type of player where when we're playing really bad, like, and we have been, he'll be the one that will win you the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in them clutch games where we're not playing well, we need a result, or we're losing and we need someone to get us back in the game, and it changes your whole attitude towards the game. He's the player. He's that type of player that we may be missing right now. Someone that can just get you a go out of nothing. Do you know what I mean? And he's done it so much in his Chelsea career. He carried us. Some seasons. Do you know what I mean? I remember Watford away, losing 1-0, and I'm thinking, oh man, and then he gets the ball, he cuts inside twice, and bang, bottom corner, 1-1, 72nd minute, or something stupid, and it changed the whole. Do you know what I mean? And he's done it so many times.
Indiana's in the building. Crapsard.
He's just jealous he didn't ever get to have a player like him. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Indiana, you're better than that. Fatsard, bro, is acceptable now.
Oh, he was always a bit chubby coming back from the summer break, though, wasn't he? That was just his thing.
But I think with injury as well, like, it's going to affect his fitness and that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's go on to Drogba a little bit more now. Beth, what was the first moment that you realised that, like, Drogba was going to be a player for you, that you was going to be one of your favourites?
Well, you see, I can't really pick a moment because I just grew up with Drogba playing for Chelsea, and it's like all I remember. I can't, like, that is just what brought me into football in the first place, along with Frank Lampard and Drogba and John Terry. That's all I remember as football, like, growing up. I can't pick one moment. Like, it's just, I can always remember, like, the special goals you've already mentioned, the one Everton and Liverpool from early in his career, but there's just not one moment, because that was always the club to me. I was quite young when he joined. I think I was 8. Yeah. So I don't remember much before that. I don't know. But he's just amazing, isn't he? Well, he won like 14 trophies with us, didn't he?
I know,
If you
really incredible.
anyway.
I mean, what do you think his worst moment was at Chelsea?
Oh, that one's easy. I think we've already mentioned this. This is when he got sent off in the Champions League final for slapping. Was it? He slapped Vidic, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like stupid, like 117th minute. Like, how can you be so dumb? We would have won it.
No,
we
I
would've
absolutely agree.
If you're gonna slap it, I mean, if you're gonna do that in the first place and get sent off, at least knock him out with the slap. Do you know what I mean? Like, do it hard enough or something. Do you know what I mean? Make a reason behind it. Like,
don't wimp out on it. Like, don't wimp out on it at all.
Make it worth it. Yeah.
I mean, Slens Talk says, in hindsight, would you swap the signings of Havertz, Werner, and Ziyech for prime Hazards?
No.
I mean, I'd swap prime Hazard for maybe Havertz or Werner, but I mean, I'm quite happy. Ziyech has shown his worth to me. I mean, I think I'd swap Hazard. I'd swap Havertz for prime Hazard, but I personally believe that Hazard brings that mentality that I don't think we're ever going to get again. Like, he was a one-of-the-kind player at Chelsea.
He was special, and if we didn't win the Champions League that season, we probably wouldn't have got him. So another reason to thank King Drogba.
Yeah, well, he was meant to go Tottenham, Hazard, wasn't he, originally? And then he turned him down last minute after we won the Champions League. And then he decided to come to Chelsea. And that was the difference. I remember him saying that was the difference.
Yeah.
Real Chris, this is Football United TV. Make sure you like and
big up, Chris.
subscribe. Big up. Yeah, I mean, I think with both players, they are so incredibly talented. Like, when you put them on a pitch, like the abilities they have to bring that kind of atmosphere onto a pitch, like, that I don't particularly think you're going to see again in both of them. I mean, are we going to get another Drogba? No. Are we going to get another Ronaldinho? I don't particularly think so. I mean, you can't, the old school Ronaldinho and Drogba, I don't think you can replace. I don't think you can compare either. And I think that's the problem, is that people try and compare, like, and it's not going to get you anywhere at all. I really don't think. But I mean, the amount of trophies they've won in each time they've been there, name a player that's done that. There aren't any. Like, there really aren't. You can get close to it, but you can't. I mean, if you had to, Jem and Beth, I'll put this to you. If you had to compare either Ronaldinho or Drogba to one player, who would, like, closest to, who would you do?
What are you talking about? Based upon their styles, or like?
Yes. So if they're all-round footballing style, who would you compare, like, the closest to, or someone that could become
now in this generation? You're talking about?
Yes. I mean, is there anybody? No,
really, not in my eyes. There's no Drogbas anymore. I would have said Diego Costa, to be honest. That's the only one I'd have thought of from him. But
yeah, Diego Costa was a good replacement for Drogba for a bit. Just
probably Eric Haaland, to be fair. I'd probably put Eric Haaland in there. I think he's that good.
No.
I think he's that good.
I'm really sorry. That is my dog.
Is that a dog? Oh, right, I thought it was a baby.
No, that's actually my dog. Like,
have you strangled your dog or something? Is he going over it?
I'm really not. But I mean,
Erling Haaland for me. Erling Haaland for Drogba. And in terms of Ronaldinho, no. I really can't think of anyone other than, and I'm not even going to say Neymar because he don't deserve to be in that category.
Ronaldinho is like one of them players, and people overuse it a lot, but like generational, like talent, like you probably just won't see it again. I don't like. Someone could be similar, but there will be different. Like, it's just one of those special players, like Messi. Like you're not going to get another Messi.
Nah.
No. Slens Talk says Drogba is the ultimate mentality monster. His record stands at 10 goals in the 12 finals. The only striker who's had a terrible start at Chelsea and turned it around to be one of our greats. That's true. Like, he really has.
Even by like terrible start though, he still scored 16 goals. I think he had a couple injuries that season, like, but I mean, I've seen worse starts, but maybe that's just because we don't have any luck.
What dog have you got?
I have an English bulldog, and he's kind of. Oh, I don't. He's like the biggest baby in the world. He literally is. Hold on, let me see if I can. Here you go.
Oh,
He's kind of having an easy fear because I'm not paying him any attention. Like, God forbid.
Get him involved in the show.
I know. I mean, he does it. Like, to be fair, he does like if the football's on and like someone else's scores, he'll like run out into the garden and be like, "Nah, not watching this anymore." But, I mean,
love that.
I say that he's a Chelsea fan, but now I want to talk about something. Now I've got you both here. Want to talk about the Frank Lampard situation?
No.
Yeah, let's do
Where's
this.
my bottle of gin and my tonic water?
I've got some. Do you want to share?
Vodka. It's down vodka.
Get alcohol out, guys.
Let's just do this. Okay, so obviously there's been rumours that Tuchel's going to take over. How do you feel about that? In my opinion, Frank's gone. Like, I'm not even discussing the fact. I would like for this kind of. I would like for him to have succeeded. I really would have liked him to succeed, but he hasn't, and that's a shame for me. And we just seem to be doing the same thing, getting the same results, or changing the players a little bit, getting the same thing. There seems to be like one standout player for me, and that's Callum Hudson-Odoi. But I mean, the players don't look like they want to play for him. So
he was even crap the other day. He was even
poor.
I know. He was a 2.
But if you're making a man that was performing that well perform bad, something's got to be going on, has it not?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think it's man management. I still think it's the management. He's not got his man management skills are not good, and the players. It's one or two things. Like the players are not playing for him because they don't trust his philosophy and they don't think that he's getting the best out of them in the formation. And if that is the case, and he's too naive to change the formation, then he needs to go. Like, because at the end of the day, you can't sack 11 players. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. So for me, if that's the issue and players just don't get his philosophy and are not backing him, then he's going to end up getting sacked. But he needs to change something quick, or he needs to sit down with them and actually whoever that's got the issue, sit down and try and even it out of them and try and understand, what to go and do next. Change formation, do something different. And he's not willing to do that at the moment, which is the issue. So I don't know.
How do you feel about that, Beth? By the way, GNA TV, big up. Gem, big up.
Yeah.
Big up to GNA TV.
GNA TV tomorrow, yeah. Frank Lampard, it's a really hard one. It's really hurting my soul inside because my Lampard bias is still fighting with what I'm seeing before me. And it's just, I think at this point I've accepted that it's going to end and that he's going to get fired.
Oh, my dog is just lightening the mood here. Oh, dear Lord. It's like the first tune I do, and he just decides to kick off. Oh.
Yeah, I've accepted that us being Chelsea Football Club will probably be going too much longer. And I really thought on Wednesday that was going to be it. I had like the club notifications turned on Twitter and everything. I was waiting for that statement. So I don't know. I want him to be given to the end of the season because I think it's just a different year, a different season. They've not had a pre-season. Yeah. They haven't had the time to tinker around. Although it's plain as day to everyone that it's not working. And I get that he needs to take a risk, but I don't know how easy it is to just do that. I don't know.
I mean, I think the problem I've got... Thanks, Chris. My dog made you funny things. Thank you. I mean, we've got a question here from Slens. What do you guys think of the criticism Jody Morris has received lately? I personally think if we're asking questions of Frank, he's got to take some too. I personally agree there. Like, I've seen people talk about how if Frank Lampard goes, they want Jody Morris to take over as the manager. I mean, I'm questioning their delusion.
Who said that?
Like I saw it on Twitter, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "Do you need to go get help? Like, do I need to like call 111? Are you having a breakdown?" I was like, "No, I can't be dealing with this. Like, Morris is just as like bad as
Our biggest problem is our fan base. You know that it's so stupid. Some of them, you know that. Some of the things I've heard since we've been losing games is ridiculous. Like honestly, it drives me mental. I have more problems with the fans than I do with the club, and it should be the club.
Do you know what? I don't mind, but when I'm looking at statistics, we've got 7 out of 24 points. And I can't. And we got 7 out of 24 points. Like that to me is a poor statistic. And any person that like actually decides that that's not an okay statistic is wrong, because 7 out of 24 points is unacceptable, especially with the matches we've played. But how do you feel about that statistic?
It's depressing, but I think it's like form, isn't it? If we're not playing well, then it just creates a roll-on effect, I think, and it will just keep going. I think there's a lot on. It's not been most like luck or anything. It's just been like poor form, because it's not just like one player's playing badly, two players playing badly. It's the whole team isn't doing it.
No, I agree. Windsor Surfer says no to the end of the season, no to an interim. We change now to save the season. I have to agree. I think if Lampard's... I mean, we've got Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, and I'm not saying we're going to beat them. I'm not saying anything of that at all. I think we'll get kicked out. But if we have a chance of them not absolutely destroying us in the first game, I think we need a new manager. And I think Tuchel's perfect for that. Like, I really do. I believe Thomas Tuchel needs to be our... Even if it's just to the end of the season... I either need Frank Lampard to wake up and have a miracle being and being like, I need to do this, this is all going to change, or like, and the players are going to wake up and be like, yeah, we're going to play for him, or I need a new manager where the players are going to play for him.
That's what I was going to say. I think, look, he's going to get the next 3 games whether people like it or not. But the one thing I would say to Chelsea fans is stop wishing for him to lose, because for me that's disgusting. Support your club, back your club. I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want Lampard here to kick. I want him to lose the next couple of games. Look, at the end of the day, he's got 3 games. If we can get, and I'm not saying he will, but if he can get maximum points out of Wolves, Burnley, and then Tottenham. Let's bear in mind, Tottenham's not going to be an easy game. They're playing very well at the moment as well. Yeah. Going into the Atletico game, I will be more confident, because then it shows that, number one, they're adapting to his style of thought, or his thinking, or whatever he's doing. And do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, I don't know. I feel like these next 3 games are so big, and then for me, then after that, it will then dictate what happens with the Atletico game going into it. Yeah. But if it continues like this, we're fucked.
Yeah,
that's it.
Winter Surfer says, I wouldn't put Jody Morris in charge of a FIFA Pro team. I have to say, Winter Surfer says, greatest stream ever. Thank you.
Yeah, with the dog.
Let's steal Pep of City. And Winter Surfer says, you've got more chance of Charlotte's dog being in charge than stealing Pep off City.
Yeah.
I mean, my dog might be better, to be fair. You fans who want Chelsea to lose, that's not a fan. You should want to see your team win regardless.
Did you guys see that leaked group chat of Chelsea fans that was celebrating the Leicester goal?
Yeah, that's disgusting. They're not Chelsea fans. They're not for me.
I'm not celebrating any other teams. Like, I just think the problem I have is that I'd like to be able to celebrate a goal again, and I'd like to see my team, because even with the wins we've had, the Fulham win wasn't good enough. 10 men Fulham, we should have been 3-0 up. Sorry, I don't particularly have that like kind of issue. And do you know what? I've never wanted a manager to succeed more. He's a club legend, and I've always wanted him to succeed. But I think the problem we have is that like he's not succeeding, and it's where do you go from here? Because how long can you give him? Because what happens if we get to the end of the season and we're like, because people, I'm like, we're going to finish 8th, and people are questioning my ability to be a Chelsea fan. But what if we finish 8th? Or what if we finish 10th and we're not even in Champions League, Europa League? What are you going to say then? Yeah, no, I know, but I think he's being given more of a chance because he is a club legend. And sometimes, however much he is a club legend, I'm not taking that away.
I think it's just like Charlotte,
But
really.
sometimes you have to put the manager and the club legend to different perspectives.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's as that is that. I know they've given him another 3 games, but if you want my honest opinion, I think they're just trying to tie down someone to come in, and I don't think it's as easy as doing it straight away. What's the point of getting rid of Frank Lampard and letting Jody Morris just run it until we sort out this contract with someone? It doesn't make no sense. You might as well keep Lampard, sort out the contract with whoever it is that you're planning to bring in, and if it's like 2, 3, 4 games in, and then you switch it, then cool. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't rush into that. I wouldn't be like Lampard out now. Tomorrow he's got to go. If we've not got a plan, if we've not got a manager who's going to come in and get, and he's ready to go, there's no point.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
We've just spent all this money on these players, and we're going to have to make sure that we're getting a manager that is happy to work with these players that we've just brought in, because we can't just like get rid of them like that now. So we need a manager that's going to be happy to work with Havertz, happy to work with Ziyech, happy to work with Werner. I forgot his name for a second. That's rude.
That's worrying me forgetting his name.
He hasn't turned up that much that you've kind of just forgotten his name.
I know your original question was, do we want Tuchel at the club? Yeah, and it's not that I don't want Tuchel at the club. Is he my preferred option? No, I wouldn't. I don't actually think he can come to Chelsea. I think I will back him if he comes there. I'll back him 100%. I'm not saying I'm going to be like the one that hates him and always goes against him. If he comes at Chelsea and the board should decide to choose him, then I'll back him. But if you ask me, is he my preferred manager? It would be a no. It wouldn't.
No, I agree. He's not but he has worked with Pulisic before. He does deal, like he's dealt with German and French players. Like it might, and his tactics are different. I just don't know. I mean, Indiana's got a really, really good point here. What happens if Frank wins the 3 games? Well, nothing. Because as far as I'm concerned, you can win. The problem I have is if he wins these 3 games and they keep him on to the end of the season and then we finish 8th, that's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, but Charlotte, do you know what we are forgetting as Chelsea fans, right? This season is so unpredictable at the moment. And you've got to bear in mind, yes, we've lost a lot of games, but how far are we away from the Champions League spot at the moment? Not far. And we should be miles away. We should be like 10, 11, 12 points behind. We're 11 points off the top of the table.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Winning 3 games could be that you're like 2 points off the Champions League. Or a point. Do you know what I mean?
My problem is that it's not that we're losing games. It's how we're losing them, if that makes sense. I'm like, look at the Fulham game. If anyone tells me they're happy with the Fulham game, they're lying to themselves. Like the Fulham game was embarrassing because we should have been beating them 3-0. Like I'm not frustrated that we're losing. I'm frustrated at the way we're losing because no one's turning up. No one looks like they want to play. And then you get like Hudson-Odoi for the last few couple of games has actually turned up and wanted to do something, but he's not starting. And I'm frustrated with how we're playing. I'm not. Yes, we have, like, I get all teams have bad parts. I get that. Like, we've all had like our bad seasons, but it's how we're losing. We're not just losing. We're not turning up to lose. And I think that's my issue overall, if you get what I mean. Because the Leicester game and the Fulham game were just not.
Yeah, but you do know. But then I did say this to people. Look, I never expect us to be this bad, but I did say to people that when we were 17 match unbeaten, that we will lose games. It will be a roller coaster of a season, and people were like, "Well, no, we're gelling quickly. It's working." No, you're forgetting that Frank Lampard has never managed this type of style players with this much talent. And for me, he's going to make mistakes. It's just that, unfortunately, at the Chelsea job, you can't do that and get away with it for too long. If he was at anywhere else, he'd probably get away with it and continue. And then in the next 2 to 3 seasons, be a top. I do think he will be a top manager eventually. I do. But I just think he may have come to Chelsea a bit too early. And with Chelsea, there's a lot of pressure because you need to win. Yeah, you need to win. And he's been given all this money to get the best out of players. And it's like, really? His second season in managing or third, should we say?
I think Yeah.
I think he was chucked in the deep end, to be honest. I think he
Yeah.
took this job and he took it because it was his club, but like Chelsea is his club. But I don't think he understood the repercussions of the fact that he was in too deep. He jumped in the deep end and he couldn't swim. That's what's happening now, is that I think if he'd have stayed on Derby for a bit longer, maybe moved to somewhere like, I'm not saying this, but like some of the lower league team like Sheffield or Newcastle or something like that, and then come up to us, I think it would have been different. But I think because he's only had a year's experience, he kind of jumped in the deep end, realised he couldn't swim, and went, I'm just going to have to go with it, see what happens.
Well, yeah, I think the problem is that it's not like he definitely just didn't go to the club and say, "Oh, you need a manager, I'll do it." I think the club have come to him. And it was definitely too soon, but they needed a manager that was going to be willing to work with the youth with the transfer ban. And I guess that's why he got it. I think at the time before he was appointed, I didn't want him to be appointed because like I sort of knew it would end up being like this and it sort of tears you in half. And the other mistake is that all of his coaching staff and backroom staff, they're all inexperienced as well. So it's just, there's like a lot of naivety in it. You can always see it in his decisions and like his substitutions and things like that. And it's just depressing and sad because like everyone loves him and everyone wanted the best for him and everyone wanted him to succeed, and it's just not going that way, and it's just sad. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, I agree. Football United TV says, hit the like button, people. Subscribe, share if you know anyone who enjoys football fan content. He also says, at GNA TV, shouts out to Ads and Gem. Go sub to their amazing channel from both Chelsea and Man United perspectives. Guys, please go follow GNA TV. Like the content they have is banging. So let's get subscribing to both. Real quick, Gem, I feel the same as you this season with Frank. You're not just blaming Lampard, you see it as your whole team and young manager. Slen says, Steven Gerrard's managerial career is the ideal path. He started a project at Rangers. He's thriving right now. I've just seen it now. Mourinho will beat Lampard and then the sack will happen. I mean...
Pain.
Do you know what? Tottenham are looking... They can be on form sometimes, and I think that's a problem. Like, do you know, that's the problem we have, is that Tottenham could turn up and beat us. I mean, we did. The problem I have is that we beat them 2-0 on their own grounds. That I'm never going to let them forget. I'm not going to be letting them forget that anytime soon until the next Spurs match happens. But we're at home. Like, we're not at White Hart Lane. We are at home. We should be beating. Realistically,
I think we're away. We're away.
Oh, no, we played them away.
We played them at home already. We drew 0-0, didn't we? If you remember.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! I was at home. Away's even.
We're at White Hart Lane, which means it's a problem. I mean,
not really. We've gone to White Hart Lane, and do you know what annoys me more about it? All right, last season when we had a squad that we couldn't like do much with because we had the transfer ban, that you saw Lampard make a lot more tactical changes in terms of formations, and he wasn't naive. He was it was always switch, and it got to a point where it was like, we just want the same 11, the same like. Yeah. But I like that, and now he's done the complete opposite season. He's got all these players where he should be switch, doing different styles of football, like formations and whatever, and he's not doing it. It's a bit weird.
I've said this, and I literally agree with every word you've just said. Last season, he was taking more risks. If something didn't work, he was switching it up. Now, this is the problem I have. If last season you can do that without any transfers, without any money, without Roman's debit, like MasterCard, like you didn't have that card at all, like you had no, like you brought youth up and you were making switches and you were doing better than what you are right now. How now? Because we've got all these players and this talent. Why aren't you switching it up? Why aren't you taking risks? Like, I'm asking myself, where's the risk? Because Frank, if we lost, he was switching it up and taking risks. And now we're just playing 4-3-3, doesn't work. 4-2-3-1 doesn't work. Like, what are we going to do next? Switch it up, take risks. Like, because if you take a risk and it doesn't pay off, I'll have more respect for you than if you don't take a risk and it doesn't pay off.
Yeah, I
If you
agree.
get what I mean.
Into that though, I think last season he probably didn't have any like specific expectations to meet because of the transfer ban and having to play like all the inexperienced kids and stuff. I'm not sure he had as much pressure as he does this season. So he probably felt more like he could afford to take risks. Not that I'm like defending like the way he has made some of his decisions this season, but like, I don't know, it might play a part a bit to me. That might be why he's not taking as many risks.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's a fair point, to be fair. I mean, I just want to see some kind of risk be taken. Like, I just want to see something. Like, it's got to the point where, like, I'll take any risk now. I'm even ready to play Gem and Anita's kind of like idea. I'm ready to play this. Like, I am ready for Gem and Anita to take over. Maybe add Lambs in as well. Just add them all in. Take them as managers, and let's just see what they can bang out. Because I know Gem ain't taking shit from any footballer that tries to come from him. He's like, nah,
yeah, exactly,
sorry,
exactly.
nah.
Mate, do you think blimmin' what's his name, Mason Mount, would be playing every game? No, don't be stupid. As much as I like him, he wouldn't be playing every game. I'd be resting him and stuff like that. But not just that.
I agree.
I was going to say something really important. It went out my head.
What's
that
that,
I really wanted to say. Hate that. It was about. Oh, that was it. The Leicester game. We bang on about Lampard, right? In my eyes, he played a 4-2-3-1. That wasn't a 4-3-3. Mason Mount was playing next to Kovacic most of the game, with Havertz as more of a 10 pushing up with Tammy. And that was something we cried out as fans for. Then we cried out for Joe to play, and we wanted Joe to play. And, again, he was very, very poor. The thing that gets me the most with it all is that, yes, it's Lampard's fault, that game. Because the only thing I think he got wrong was he didn't get. What did he say? I want to see Gem as a defensive coach. Yeah, he seemed.
I want to see Gem as a defensive coach too, please.
It's not just that. Going on to that, the 2 goals that we conceded are basic knowledge. You learn that at a very young age. You can't tell me that that's Frank Lampard's fault. You learn that as kids to when a corner comes in, and Indiana, I know he's a coach himself. When a corner comes in and you clear the ball, you scramble out, you get out of the box and you push up. You don't stand there and allow the man to shoot, and which was what we did. We didn't even pressure him. Yeah. And in the second goal, Maddison was on his own because Reece James was out of position. That's a Reece James problem.
Yeah, no,
that ain't Frank Lampard problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what
Indiana,
players need to take responsibility.
Welcome to the channel, Indiana. Welcome to the show. What do you think of the Leicester game, and what do you think needs to be improved? What do you think needs to change? Let me know your opinions.
Firstly, if it's a coaching problem, it's not Frank's. Frank isn't the coach. Let's get that straight first. There's a coaching problem. If it is to do with the coaches, I don't think it is at all. I think a massive part of that was the fact Mason Mount was lost. Didn't know where he was playing. I don't think he understood the role at all. I think he had a good game in terms of his energy, winning the ball back. It wasn't the worst game I've seen him play on the ball as such, but positionally he wasn't great. I think the plan was for Havertz to come back and tuck in, but to be the guy who's close to the striker. The double pivot with Kovacic was for Mount, and Mount had the license to press forwards and Kovacic would sit. But what I seen a lot of the time was the 2 of them, Havertz and Mount, pushing forwards. There was a part, I think it was the first half, Kovacic had nowhere to go with the ball. Eventually managed to turn on the ball and give it to Reece James. And he threw his arms up in the air at Mount, like, where are you? Like, there was no options. I don't think he really, and I'm not just blaming him. I'm not just blaming him at all. Even Ziyech, when he came in, it was late passes.
Yeah, it's a lack of knowledge, understanding their roles. That's what I keep saying.
I don't think it's just that, Jim. You've seen this before with teams. I feel like we've seen it with Mourinho at United. I think the players have no faith at all in Frank. All the coaches, or the system, whatever it may be, you can tell they just don't have that fight and that desire. Like, this is Chelsea with a really strong squad. There's no desire there at all. The passing is laboured. A lot of that game, it was either trying to force it down one side or force it through the middle. At no point At no point when you reach the final third, like their box, did you try and reset. At no point it was forced, try and dribble through. Ziyech came through, tried to pass the ball out wide, and it was late. And that's really unlike him. He's normally very good with those passes. That's his game. Leicester applied the pressure straight away. I said to Jem, I said, watch Harvey Barnes before the game. Like he will just press and press. Because we have a group chat, obviously, and everyone was saying it's a 4-3-3. And I couldn't believe that Frank was going to play Havertz in a 3 in midfield. It had to be a 4-2-3-1. But I just feel that if Frank has lost the dressing room, the players don't have faith in him. Doesn't matter about the system. Doesn't matter about the coaching. Like mentally, these players are not focused. And players have all of the power. If Fergie was manager today, he'd be the first one out the door. And he's the best manager I've ever seen in football. It's a different game now. Frank has to go because he's lost the players. I don't think he can win them back. I really don't. I'd be surprised if he did.
It's a shame that the players have so much power like that, though, because that just means that whenever they don't feel like it, they can just get the manager gone, innit?
Well, they're your biggest asset, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
It's a shame. That's all. But it's definitely a thing.
I don't particularly know what's going on back. I guess we're never going to know what really is going on behind the scenes fully. We're never going to know that, I think. And I think that's the problem. I think, I don't believe it's just Lampard, but it's easier. It's easier to get rid of a manager than it is to get rid of all the players that aren't doing you right now. And I think that's the problem you have. And I don't know if you feel this, Indiana or Jem, but it's easier to get rid of a manager than it is any player. Like, because if you have like 5 players doing you wrong, it's easier to get rid of one person than it is 5.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Trust me. When Alex Ferguson got rid of David Beckham, that's because he was in control of the club. He ran everything. If that was today, and a superstar like David Beckham, with the price of players right now, I don't think Beckham would be out of the club. I think it would be Fergie, even after what he had achieved. Because players, there's so much money invested with marketing and everything. Like it's David Beckham today would still probably be the biggest brand in Premier League football. You know, that's what it is. Look at the money you've spent. My question to you is though, and I feel the same as Jem. They're buying time, saying the 3 games, waiting for the new manager to come in, whoever that may be. But what does Roman do if Frank wins the next 3 games? He's already lined up another manager. Do you expect him to sack Frank anyway? Even if he wins the next 3 games, you have really good performances. No, you think he'll keep Frank, and then it'll be the next game he loses, he'll be sacked.
I think there will be an agreement in place. I think they've probably spoken to who they want to come in, but that person they want to come in is probably not going to turn around and come in straight away. So they're either doing one or two things. They're either waiting, like you said, for the next couple of games for Lampard to play out and see how he's doing. And if he does drop another draw or a loss, then see you later. Like put him under that much pressure. If not that, then you're going to give him 3 games, see how he does, and if it doesn't work, Indiana, drop him on the day and then throw that manager. I don't know. It's a tough one, really, but it doesn't really make too much sense, man.
We are joined by the other half of GNA TV, Ads. Ads, what are your thoughts on this? Like, how do you feel about Lampard? How do you feel about the players? Like, obviously, it's easier to get rid of a manager than it is to get rid of players. Like the blame is obviously like players and manager have to both take responsibility on decisions. But how do you feel about the situation, knowing that like it's easier to get rid of a manager than it is players?
Well, if I know that's the case, I know you can get rid of a manager easier, but I feel like the players have done worse this season, if I'm going to be honest with you. You should make it on the field.
They haven't turned up.
There's no mission, there's no fight, there's no captaincy, there's nothing. And your best player, he's not in the best of form at the moment in Kante. And I'm sick of all the players who are your only spark of hope getting the hate. I'm sick of it because I see Pulisic getting praised for nothing. I see Ziyech getting off it. I see Werner getting off it when it doesn't matter. Mount as well. And there's players like Tammy and Callum Hudson-Odoi. When they play, they try to do something and they don't get any praise for it. And, as a United fan, I can tell you many players in our team who don't get praise for doing stuff. But I'm not going to go into that. But with Chelsea, you have so many dead players. You have so many dead players, but at the same time, you have so many good ones. And your lower tier quality, and this is a fact as well, because I don't put Hudson-Odoi in the same caliber as Ziyech or Pulisic. He is a low tier player compared to them, and he's the only one trying to do anything. And that's telling me something, that your manager does not know what he's doing, but at the same time, your players are to blame for that. Because what can he do when his top players aren't playing well? What can he do? So that's why I back Lampard in that sense, because he doesn't know what he's doing, because he doesn't know what to do. He can only play his best players. You know what I'm trying to say? So there's no impact on the pitch. It's not a win-win. It's more of a loss-loss.
But how would you change it? Like, what would you do to, like, because obviously something needs to change. Like, what would you do to, like, would you change the formation? Would you change who start the starting 11? Like, what would you change?
I would,
drop
you
the
know
ball.
what?
To all of you guys, what would
If
you
I was in charge, there'd be rafts reaching towards players, man. Some people be benched. I don't care how long, but there's just players who are not performing for you consistently, and the thing they should be consistent at is performing well. But like I said, your low tier players obviously when Tomori did come in and play a game, he played well. Hudson-Odoi has played well. Tammy has played well as well. But at the same time, if your higher caliber players aren't playing well, where's the fight and where's the ambition in this team? You know what I'm trying to say? So realistically, I understand why Lampard's setting the same team out and trying to switch things up with the same players in it, because you can have the same players but change the system. That's what he's doing, and no one's noticing it. All I can say is people who want him out, who've been wanting him out since day one, I think they're fools. I think the ones who want him out now, I can understand their point, but the ones who've been taking him down, the ones who have no sympathy for, this is what they deserve. They can see their
I'd drop
club.
them all, ads. I would drop them all.
I've never wanted to say Lampard out ever. I wanted him to succeed. I've wanted him to succeed then to day one. He's a club legend, and I thought, you know what, this might be the change you need. We're bringing in youth players. We're doing this. We're doing that. And I thought it might be good, but it's kind of got to the point where 7 out of 24 points just isn't acceptable for me.
Can I ask you about what you expected from Frank?
Pardon? What did you say, Indiana?
What did you expect from Frank? Because
I didn't expect it to be perfect sailing. I really didn't.
I was asking about. Can I put into context just about whether you were comparing him to an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because it's been whether it's consciously or subconsciously, whether you were comparing him to Solskjaer and Arteta, because there's a lot of talk about the three managers as a group. Mm-hmm. And I think Frank probably gets a hard time because Arteta's done a fair bit of coaching before he became a manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got 10 years experience. He went to Cardiff, got relegated, so he learnt something. He went to Mulder, he won the title with Mulder for the first time in 20 years, had to actually identify players to do that. So it wasn't like he had a huge budget to buy whoever he wanted. He had to identify players and put balance into a side to win a title. Frank did great at Derby, improved young players. He did well last season with young players who are hungry and full of energy. Now he's got that first team. Is he good enough to manage elite players?
Do you know what I think the problem is? I think he got chucked in the deep end and he can't swim, and it was just too big a job for him. I think he needed more experience. I think a year at Derby just wasn't enough. I don't particularly think it was enough experience, and I think he hasn't got experience around him either, and I think that's a problem. But also, I didn't expect the best from him. All I've got an issue with this season is the fact that last season he was taking risks, he was switching it up, he was changing it up, he was taking risks, and this season it's just kind of playing until it doesn't work, and that's the problem I have. Why, if we spent all this money, if we didn't spend that any money last season, but we were still taking risks and we were still switching it up. This season we've spent all this money and now we're not switching it up. We're not taking those risks. If he was taking risks and it wasn't paying off, I'd have more respect for him. I'd respect that more than if he was if he's what he's doing now. If he was still taking those risks, I'd be like, yes, he's trying. He's actually wanting to do this, but he's still doing the same thing and he's becoming predictable. And I think that's a problem when you become predictable. Like, guys, Prime's with us. Prime, what do you think about that?
Everything that's happened this season as expected. So.
Oh, God's sake. Here we go.
What's the weather like tomorrow, Prime?
Fucking hell. You always do this, didn't you? You do this
but again,
every time.
What do you expect?
No, because but Prime, can I just say something very quickly? Ever since I've known you, right? Ever since I've known you, you've said you've come out and agreed with us, but then always said the opposite to us. Of course, you're always going to be right because you always go against the opposite to what we say and agree with what we say.
What have I agreed with you on? You kept saying give it time.
Every time you come on it, everything you said about Chelsea, you go, yeah, I predicted that one. Yeah.
Because when we went through our good run of form, and I kept saying, let us play big games. Let's see how well he does there, because I don't trust it. And you kept saying, just give it time, it's going to get better. And I said, okay, Jem, let's just see if it does. And if I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Okay. Because we did a live thing about this, remember, Jem? So I have proof there.
It is a kind of win-win for you, though, Prime, isn't it?
You said that as well.
It's a
win-win, isn't it? It's a win-win.
I don't know because I don't like being right about my team being bad.
No, it's not you're right. You always agree with us and then say the opposite to us. So it's like you can't lose because you're always saying the opposite. You always said, "Oh, I did say it though." I said that.
No, Jem, I don't agree. I said, "Okay, let's see how it goes." I've never changed my opinion and agree with yours.
Prime, you asked a question at the top of a question, bro. Come on, man.
Can I just say something quickly, though? Can I say something quickly, yeah?
Yeah.
Because all I'm going to say is, it's a sad sight to see this, but I know Jem, I know his thoughts on it.
It's amazing, ads. If you've been
No, it's a sad sight when it comes to the fans who haven't been giving it the big, you know what I'm trying to say? But the ones who are chatting bare shit saying, oh, Lampard's the man. And the thing is, no one talks about this. Yeah, it's gone unnoticed. This is why. So I did it. I baited people out on the terrace the other day. Listen, everyone kept the same energy, saying, "Oh yeah, we're still going to win the league. What's the man?" The ones who said this since day one, they didn't want to be doubted wrong, so they kept the same energy. Yeah. Then as soon as they lose to Arsenal, they switched the story, saying they never had faith or 100% faith in Lampard. Yeah, and then they said, "Oh yeah, but they were joking." And you guys know who I'm talking about, especially. Yeah, they've said this, and they didn't want to regroup back to what they actually said. And this is why I could actually back Prime, Beth, Charlotte, and Jem, because they never said Lampard will win the league. They said he's capable of, only because of the team he has.
No, I never said he's capable of doing it.
Jem, I mean, Prime. So do you not? So I just and then, for example, with that team, do you think
win us something FA Cup? I said like third, so top four and the FA Cup this season, not the league. I really didn't even expect us to challenge for the league. I said challenge.
So did I.
I think I just maybe top four.
I mean, I would like top four. I think that's what I would like top four, and I think every team can want top four. And I think that this season is so up there, and that's a fair point to say. But I think we can't just blame it on the season if the players aren't turning up. Address the players, because even I have to say, like, it's easier to blame a manager than it is to take responsibility for any point of player, because you don't see Werner didn't turn up. You don't see Reece James messed up. When Reece James messed up in that second goal of Leicester, did you see anything? No. You just saw Lampard out. And I think that's the problem. It's easier to target. It's easier to target Lampard than it is anybody else. Guys, how do you feel about this? Frank has mismanaged so many players. Havertz, Mount come to mind. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think you can rule Havertz out of that because for one, he's adapting to a new league. Yeah, COVID. It's a tough. I think Frank's probably done the right thing by he's played him in midfield a couple of times just to get him used to the game, coming off the bench. which is probably, he needs to learn the physicality of the Premier League, and I don't think he's quite there yet. So I'd rule him out.
Why is he wasted? Why is he mismanaged Mount? Why is he mismanaged Mount?
I don't think he's mismanaged. Oh, I think he has mismanaged Havertz. Because when he came back from the whole COVID thing, he was still playing him and starting him. And he was forcing him in.
No, he
was
wasn't.
80 million pound player, Prime.
He was in and out.
He was
in and out. Him off when he's needed to.
But I think
he was in and out.
I think he did still play too much.
Okay, guys, Gunnar makes a good point, but Lampard blames the players.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fair point?
Valid. I think he's got a point to blame the players as well.
How do you feel about that, Beth?
Fucking playing like they did against Leicester, conceding goals like that, I'd blame them. Like, what the fuck's that?
But that's what's going to cause the problem, isn't it? That's why the players aren't playing for him. If he's going out there and saying, "Yeah, wasn't that great?" I think that was one of his post-match conferences things. He really went into like Werner, and after that, like if I was Werner, I'd have been a bit like, "Well, shit. Now what?"
I think a big problem is that Frank didn't retire that long ago. And maybe a lot of these players watched him as a player and they don't actually respect him as a manager. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, but he hasn't done anything.
That could really have something to do with it.
Indiana, he hasn't done anything to be respected as a manager.
Winter Surfer says Charlotte's dog can sense Prime is on the stream.
No, I think Charlotte's dog is Lampard out as well.
You say that he got his Champions League last season, Prime. Some managers at Chelsea before that haven't done it.
This is the problem. This is the problem I have is that last season. Hold on. Last season, he got us top 4 in Champions League without spending all this money. He was taking risks. And but if we messed up, he was doing something different. It may not have been the right thing, but he was still taking risks. He's not anymore. He's not changing it up. What has changed for him not to be able to change it up? He's got the ability with all these players he's bought to switch it up. So why isn't he?
Wait, hold on. Okay, question. Getting us Champions League last season, was that an exceptional achievement?
It was an achievement with the squad. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, because I've seen Zidane in his first season win a Champions League.
Okay.
Yeah, but
it's not the same, Brian. That's the most dumbest comparison I've ever heard.
Absolutely no. Players' squad's different. Players different.
Okay,
Everything's different.
Everything's different. Let me finish. But the way Chelsea fans speak about Lampard and him getting top 4, they speak like it's one of the greatest achievements of all time. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about Chelsea.
Prime. It would be accountable though for 3 reasons though, because Zidane won. Yes, he did win that trophy, and in all fairness, he's a decent manager. I think he's actually a very, very good manager. But I think in all fairness for Frank, the team he stepped into, just like Arteta, it wasn't a team of high quality, like inconsistent patches of the pitch.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
Zidane's team was in a good patch of form before he stepped into the job.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. They're Chelsea fans, Lampard fans on that act as if getting top 4 was the greatest achievement a manager's ever done because we were in a transfer ban.
It was not. It's not. It's overexceeded, Brian. He should never have got Champions League. That's the difference.
This is the problem, though, and it's probably just like this with every fan base. But as Chelsea fans, we see Chelsea fans the most. It's that the fans are really reactionary, so they're going to jump on everything. Like you've seen when we had like that good streak. Everyone was like, "We're going to win the Champions League. We're going to win the league. Let's go!" And then the next, we lost to Wolves, and then suddenly all of them are like, "Oh no, Lampard out. We're rubbish. This is horrible. I can't do this anymore." Like this is the fans.
That's a problem.
Okay, so I want to bring something up now. Prime.
It was Arsenal that did that.
Prime, I want to talk about something now. Me and Prime have talked about this now. I want to get your guys' opinions. So, Prime, what did you want Emma Hayes as manager, yes?
No, he didn't say that.
He
didn't say that.
He did.
Wait. Don't speak yet.
Hold on, guys. Let Prime finish.
As my first choice, No. However, I've seen what she's been doing.
Who are you talking about?
and
Sorry.
Look, Emma Hayes, the women's team for Chelsea. And if Lampard can get the job, why can't she get the job? But however, is she my first choice or is she in my top 3? Probably not. But if she got the job, I wouldn't be against it.
Why would you want anything less than your first choice?
Exactly. I just said I do want my.
No, I don't understand. No, I don't understand how the subjects come up.
Because
Sometimes
something
you can't get your first choice.
It's
My
something
first choice is Carlo Ancelotti. We're not getting him.
my first choice is Jose Mourinho. We're not getting him.
but we could go on about.
Can we just talk about Jem's reaction right now?
But Charlotte, Jem hates women, so.
Wow.
Jem can't hate
Whoa.
women. He's part of the ladies' show on GNA TV on Friday nights. Jemima.
Jem hate women. Got a woman as well, my mate. I'm engaged. How can I might hate her, but I don't hate women in general.
And we've never seen the woman. We don't know she exists, but okay.
That's a silly thing to say, isn't it?
I don't know. I
Charlotte,
don't
can I
know.
say something quickly though on this topic?
Yeah, guys, let ad speak.
Let me say something. It doesn't matter who your first option is, your second option, your fucking third. It doesn't matter. If the team's not consistent, yeah, with the caliber that they're all set in, you apparently have world-class attackers and, shifted top-class defenders, yeah? If they're not performing, then it doesn't matter whether or not you toss or turn with your manager. It's not going to change if there's no ambition on the field and your reserves. Because for me, Callum Hudson-Odoi, he shouldn't even get a look. He shouldn't even get a look at starting, and he is, because there's no power in that lineup that you've lot been setting out recently. And all the players you lot have brought in, everyone thought it. And now switching the manager isn't going to change a thing. So, what can I say?
I do think as well, though, if we get a new manager, we're not going to get results instantly, and I don't think the fan base are going to react very well to that.
I think you will. I think if it's I think if the players have lost faith in Frank, then it's a perfect scenario for the new manager bounce. It will. This is what happens, right? Think about Chelsea. He plays the same players over and over again. A new manager comes in, all of a sudden, everybody can earn their place.
Yeah.
So everyone ups their game. I think it's the perfect scenario for that. That's why I'm saying, if it is that, and it seems like that just in the way they're playing, the only way you can get back to anything is by a new manager coming in.
Yeah.
But the big thing is,
fair point.
Where do they go? Do they go with? I mean, in terms of who's available out there, Allegri is a proven serial winner, but he doesn't see what we have or what we're trying to do. You can get Tuchel, but there are fans who are split on him, I guess. Now Guzman is just, it would be impossible to get from his contract. Who else is out there? Hassan Hutel, people love now at Southampton, but maybe not now. If he's kind of the same as Nagelsmann. So it's between Tuchel and Allegri, I think.
But yeah, I hear where you're coming from, Prime, and you know what? That's what I respect, because you know that there is a percentage in getting the managers that obviously that most Chelsea fans do want, but the fans who say, "Oh yeah, you know what? They wanted this manager, but now that they can't get him, they're going to jump to Allegri because he's the only option that they have." For me, Allegri is a manager, like he puts a cherry on top of a cake that's already made.
Mm.
Of what type of manager he is, he adds his own finesse to it. He doesn't complete anything. He adds his own finesse.
I'm like Beth. I want Ancelotti, but I can't have Ancelotti, so I'd take that one on the chin. But in terms of like managers now that are available, Tuchel's, look, I don't want Tuchel. I've said it before. If he came to Chelsea, I'd back him. I'd back every manager that we bring in because that's the way I am. Yeah, but if you ask me in terms of preference, it wouldn't be Tuchel, and it wouldn't be Allegri.
Who do you want? Who do you want?
You.
I mean,
no, seriously, who do you want?
But I mean, because available managers, who would you want? Because you've only got available managers at the minute. Like, if we're being realistic, we only have available managers. So, out of the available managers, who would Rafa come back? Like, there's rumors that Rafa, you've got Tuchel, like Big Sam, like, because we have to have available managers.
You can't Big Sam. He's got a job to do.
Well, I mean, I'm saying he was in the running.
Do you guys think West Brom are going to go down? Because I've got a bet with a friend that he's going to keep them up.
Trust me, he's staying up. They get a striker in January, they'll stay up.
They're staying up. That's fine.
Big Sam. Yeah, he's keeping them in the game.
Do you reckon?
Yep.
We have to see.
Yeah,
innit?
definitely.
We have to see, my friends. Would have to see.
He's never been relegated before, though. Anyway. He won't come back.
Hopefully
won't get the
Lampard
job
turns
if he
it
doesn't
around
get
and we
saved.
win a FA Cup and finish second. Yeah.
All right. Question: because I do think we are due another run of form, even if it is with Lampard. Say we
Definitely
get top
are.
4, we finish 3rd. Do you guys want to? You guys keep him?
What if he
You'd
gets
have
us to
to.
third? Yeah, I think
You'd
you're
have
Third,
to.
well, 3rd, 4th, whatever it is, 4th.
I think if you finish 5th, you'd have to
You
keep
know,
him to be
I think-
being able to turn it around.
I think it depends, yeah. If you're playing football that looks like it's growing, like looks like it's doing better, or if you're just getting by with these really like the players aren't performing, like if every game's like Fulham and we're winning, but it's not showing us
Pretty.
any
yeah.
what's the word, you know?
It's like not
Yeah.
pretty. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No path. There's no path.
Yeah,
of, like,
exactly.
clear path.
Then I think he would go. But if it showed the potential of becoming something more, then he would stay.
You do know when we had Jose Mourinho that we never actually won pretty, especially in our first season. We used to win 1-0s and it was scrappy,
Yeah.
and we were
Boring.
solid. We
They
never used to
boring.
concede goals.
Yeah, but Jen,
And no one
that
used
was-
to moan about it then.
Jen,
No one
that
used
was
to moan
enter-
about us winning then.
That
Do you
was
know what I mean?
entertaining to watch, and it
Why?
won us a league title.
It's a bit different though, because the players were still playing for him. Like, I mean, in the Fulham game, they weren't really trying. So what I mean is, I want to see the players trying. If they were trying and then we got the results, then it's a good sign, yeah, that his system or whatever it is working. If we start to see like a clear tactical, like, oh, my mind won't work.
He's gonna have to do a clear tactical change. It's not
Jen,
working.
Shark, can I just address a comment quickly?
Yeah.
Big Gunner's. He says, "Are we
Are we
laughing because
laughing
it's a
because
woman?"
it's a woman?
No, I'm not. I wasn't laughing because it's a woman. I was laughing because you've been linked to like Tuchel and Nagelsmann and everyone, and it was just the furthest thought from my mind actually that Emma Hayes would be potentially a Chelsea manager. I'm not saying she wouldn't do a good job. I'm just saying that it was just so far from my thoughts. I didn't even consider it.
The only reason why I put it out on Twitter is because I heard someone say, bring in Drogba, he'll start playing black players and stuff like that. And I was like, nah, all right, just give it to Emma Hayes then. Why not?
Yeah,
No,
I don't think
actually
anyone's
she's a good
laughing
coach.
at the fact that it's a woman. I think we're laughing about, again, it's an experience thing. Like, it really is all to do with the experience. It's whether you're female or male. If you don't have that experience, you're not. If you go into a job like Chelsea, you're not going to succeed at first. Unfortunately, you need that experience to go into a job like that, and that's just men or women.
I think she's got good experience in terms of football.
Yeah,
I do think she would do a job. I really do. She's good at identifying players, talents, coaches. She brings in the right coaches. She's done really well with Chelsea women's team. She's done very well. So yeah, I won't rule her out. It's
Yeah,
just that
agree.
I didn't think like it's not something that would have come into my head when you think of like a top 4 club. You think of managers that are already proven in men's football.
yeah. But then Lampard wasn't proven. Like, he's done one season and he's been dropped in the deep end. And unfortunately, he's in the deep end and he's struggling to swim. Like,
And I think it kind of defeats the point to sack a manager that's not like very experienced to hire another one that's not very experienced, because you end up needing
I
to
think
my
and giving them
point
time.
was Emma Hayes is if someone's inexperienced, well, Emma Hayes is actually, even though it's not the men's game.
I mean,
she's
Emma Hayes is winning titles every season. Like,
Yeah.
she won
She's
3
killing it.
last season. She won 2 the season before. Like, they're looking to win another 2 this season. Like, they're looking unstoppable. They beat Man U just gone 2-1. Like, I mean, they beat Man City 4-2 with extra time. Like, they're looking unstoppable. And do you know what the problem I have is? These goals that they're producing are goals that I enjoy to watch. They're goals that are beautiful goals. They're not just knock it in the back of the net, let's get it in the back of the net like Chelsea are producing. These goals are something I want to watch, and I think that's what I would like to see at Chelsea. If we get a goal, make it like worth the while. Don't make it like yeah, it's a goal, like we needed that goal, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. But I don't really watch the ladies team play. I keep meaning to, because it'd be really nice to watch a Chelsea side that win. But how different is the ladies game to the men's game to manage, do you think?
I mean, I think it is really different. I think the problem you have is like women's football is always going to be different to men's. Like, I don't like the way they play isn't, but it is different in a perspective of the fact that women aren't acknowledged as much, the pay difference, everything like that, where men disrespect women as footballers so much and they say they're not good enough, when realistically right now the women's team's actually better than the men's team right now, in my opinion. Genuinely.
Well, it's Frank Lampard. So
yeah. Right, guys, we are going to wrap it up now. We've been going for an hour and 30 minutes. We've discussed a lot of things. I want to thank Beth, Jem, Prime, and Indiana. If you guys want to shout out your socials, Beth, starting with you.
I'm on Twitter at KingKaiFC. Out on Fridays at 8 p.m. we do the Chelsea Ladies Show on GNA TV with Jem. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, thank you very much, Jem. Where can people find you?
Find me in the Football Terrace. You can find me on Twitter at CFC_Jem. You can find me in the First 11. You can find me on Kai's channel. You can find me on everywhere. I know, most important, you can find me on GNA TV. So yeah, if you want to tune in on there, just give us a shout.
In about 5 minutes, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Prime, where can people find you? Where can people find you, Prime?
Find me on my Twitter, on Prime F. You can find me on the First 11, the Terrace. Lampard, just fuck off, please.
Okay.
You love it.
Indiana, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Terrace. You can find me on this channel a lot. I call in a lot on this channel. You can find me on GNA TV a lot. I call in on that. I started to do a lot of match reviews with ads, Man United ones. You can find me on the First 11. Tomorrow is Fraud Watch. It's Friday. Come and tune in for that. 10 o'clock. We call Fraud on Football. It's a great show. Jem's involved. Prime's involved. Tomorrow the guest is Beaks from Beaks Corner.
Goodbye, Beaks.
And yeah, subscribe to the channel, people. All the channels that have been mentioned. And you can find me on Twitter as well. Sorry, FirstXI_TV.
Perfect, guys. Now, before we go, we have a very, very exciting new show on Sunday at 7 p.m. It is called Matt and Charlotte Explain. We are going to be discussing everything. You guys are more than welcome on. We are going to be ranting. We are going to be bantering teams. We are going to be discussing everything. And I'm probably going to be ranting. But, you know, that's normal. So,
Can you explain
thank you
why
guys.
Lampard's tactically inept?
Pardon?
Can you explain why Lampard's tactically inept in big games?
You know what, Prime? We'll save that for Sunday on 7 p.m. Guys, make sure you go and like and subscribe Football Night United TV. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at Football United TV. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure, guys.
Peace.
It has been a pleasure.